Look, I know this is not the usual topic of this channel, but I've got a platform, so I might as well use it. And no, don't worry, it's not shifting to some self help book. We're gonna get back to normal stuff in a minute. This is just a one off. Anyways, back to it. Today isn't gonna be about games, it's gonna be about how you or the people around you are doing. There's not gonna be a lot of jokes or sarcasm in this one on account of the subject matter, but it's not going to be something overly sappy or sad either. I would like to take this moment to add that I am by no means a therapist. I'm just some guy doing what he thinks could help. If one person is affected positively by any of this, that's good enough for me. So, this was all brought upon by someone close to me recently having, this is putting it incredibly lightly, a bit of a hiccup regarding his mental state, and it brought something to my attention. You can operate under the impression that you know somebody through and through, but the reality is that even the strongest people we know are still very much human. They undergo struggles just like you or I. Often, when we choose to look up to someone, we forget that, regardless of upbringing or stature, they too have flaws and problems of their own. The purpose for which I'm telling you this is twofold. I want you to recognize that more people than you may initially assume, even the ones you may idolize, struggle with what goes on inside their heads. Nobody is weak or lesser than another because they are plagued with negative thoughts. It happens to all of us. It's unfortunately a part of the human condition. I also want you to recognize that nobody is above or beyond help. No matter what their status in the world, everyone can use a little help sometimes. I'm going to take a moment to speak about how we can help others and then address how we can help ourselves. Something far too little people realize is that when it comes to ailments facilitated by our own minds, we can't force someone to get better. It's like when someone is suffering from addiction. You can take the substance away, but it's ultimately their choice whether or not to keep it away. The most productive thing you can often do is the least invasive. There are an immeasurable amount of causes for these, but oftentimes issues with depression and anxiety are fueled by thoughts of inadequacy or rejection. Worries centered around conforming to someone else's standards, not being good enough, failing to achieve what they would like to in life, being alone even. Those are barely scratching the surface. Most times, the best thing you can do for someone struggling isn't telling them how to fix their problems. For the most part, they know how to fix this issue. Instead, just keep yourself updated on their life. Don't be overbearing, but candidly sit down with the people you care about once in a while and ask how they're actually doing. Let them know you're someone they can come to if something is wrong. Oftentimes, folks don't even need a fix. They just need to say it out loud, and then they can start moving along. A lot of people just need to know someone cares and doesn't have an ulterior motive. Now, this is a tough part for me because I'm not exactly sure how to go about it. I can't possibly decipher a solution to every last person's issues, I know that, but I can try to cover the ones I'm aware of, or at least the ones that seem most prevalent to me. I suppose this is going to go something like me preemptively answering questions or doubts I've heard others, and even myself at times, have issues with. I think after that I'll tell you a story or something. That's to be determined on account of its content. If you're a rather compassionate person, you may tend to look at anguish comparatively. I'm here to say just because you can identify someone is clearly going through worse than you are, it doesn't diminish the validity of your struggles. Refrain from delegitimizing your own problems by looking at someone less fortunate than you and thinking, well, they're doing worse and still carrying on, so I have no excuse to be what I am. Instead, you can look to them as an encouragement. If you think they have problems worse than your own and they are still making it through life, that means you have the ability to overcome yours as well. There's no shame in asking for help either. Cut the macho bullshit. Pride is not your friend. Ask someone to help if you need it. We're all just sentient meatbags after all. We are all made of the same stuff. We're just taking different paths in life. If your mind is constantly in battle with thoughts of inadequacy, sorry, there's no good transitions in this, and you're struggling to meet expectations, I'd like to pose a few, or more realistically, many questions. Who exactly are you trying to prove yourself to? So often we're caught up in some journey with the end goal being some vague interpretation of better, but who are we doing it all for? Is it ourselves that we want to improve, or are we too focused on affecting someone else's perception of us? As lovely as altruism is, you deserve to have attention paid to your own well-being. I encourage you to become what you would like to be, not what others demand of you. Why is it that you think you're not good enough? Is someone telling you as much? If so, what authority does that person have over you? And more importantly, why are they saying this to you? Are they envious, hateful, or are they simply misguided in how to support and encourage you? If someone's only goal is to tear you down, you don't owe them any of your attention. Or is it something more self-centered? Maybe you keep setting goals too high, and you can't achieve them simply by reason of sheer size. If you can locate your end goal, you can break it down into small tasks that you can progressively consolidate until your grand scheme is completed. What reasonable changes could you make to impact yourself for the better? Sometimes you need an easy win, even if it means doing something you know you're fully capable of pulling off. What's something completely manageable that you can do right now and you know it would benefit you? For me, exercise has always been that option. I've never been all that smart or creative, but something beneficial I could always control was moving or lifting. Since I just mentioned a good habit, I'll give you a destructive one that you should do your damnedest to stop. A lot of you need to stop punishing yourself when you fail. Look, this is gonna sound really weird, but failure ain't that bad. Failure is only bad in the case that you didn't do your best. If you got low and you really put your shoulder into it, but you still came up short at the end, that's perfectly acceptable. As far as I'm concerned, if you're trying, it doesn't work, you did everything you could. If you never tried and it didn't work, then you'll never get to know the difference you would have made. And I think that right there is one of the worst things we can do to ourselves. Not a single one of us has the faintest idea of the potential that we all hold, including ourselves. Hell, you're looking at an example right now. Am I doing the best? Hell no, there's probably plenty of people better at this than I am. But I'm doing my best. And if I half-assed it and didn't really care, there's an absolute guarantee I would not be where I am right now. And believe me, I used to suck at this. Hell, you could probably find some people that think I still suck at this. But that's never gonna stop me from going, and it shouldn't stop you either. All of you have the potential to be great at something, but if you never try, you never find out what it is. As I have progressed through this, I have decided the story I mentioned will be saved for another time, which is a shame because it's really good. You're truly missing out, but don't worry, it'll come up later, I'm sure. The last thing I want to dedicate focus to are any active members of the military or veterans. As you may or may not know, Helldivers has a lot of current and ex-military personnel saturating its player base. As you also may or may not know, our country, or at least my country, treats them terribly. I'm speaking in reference to the institutions put in place here that are supposedly designed to help them. In case you aren't understanding why that's a problem, I'll break it down for you, don't worry. Imagine, if you will, you join the military wanting to help others, a noble cause as any. We've talked about it today often. A guy you've never met signs a piece of paper that you have no say in signing, often over them having a disagreement about finances, most of which are going to their own pocket, no less, which, okay, not talking about that, I'm gonna get angry. Anyway, you fly to a place where you have never been, then you hang out there for a couple of years away from your family and friends, making new friends, credit where that's due. But you're getting shot at, and the living quarters suck. You see some of your friends die, maybe you get maimed or dismembered in the process, and then you come back home and are expected to be able to flawlessly reintegrate with society after they give you a couple of goddamn pamphlets. Yep, I couldn't see how something could go wrong anywhere throughout that. Can you? I can't. No, seems like it'll be perfectly A-okay, and this will never be a recurring problem throughout history, and this will never have consequences on society. Okay, look, these institutions have failed them so much so that I can guarantee you, if you are playing with a member of the military, they get blown up by your grenade, and you say, the Department of Veteran Affairs has determined your injury is not service-related. They're gonna laugh their ass off. Once again, in case you're not understanding why that's bad, I'll explain again. They are used to being treated so poorly by what is effectively a glorified DMV specifically designed to help them, and I say help with the most emphatic of air quotes possible, that the running gag is not only that you won't be helped, but that they will blame you for your injury. Yeah, ain't that some shit? Okay, my face is getting red. I'm gonna stop talking about this and get to my point now because I can feel my blood pressure raising the more I talk about how they're treated. I only want military members to chime in on this one. You can say whatever you want, you can tell me a story about how you're doing, you can give me your life story even, I'd love to hear it, but just save this next thing for the military members. You people are pretty much the embodiment of the term suffering in silence. What are we as a society able to do to help you? Please, I would love to know, because I genuinely don't know how to help. Because I have never experienced something like that. Alright. I think that's where I ought to wrap it up here. Thanks for your time, as always. Hopefully this helps you somehow. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully there's an update or something soon. I don't know, man. I'm exhausted. You guys have a good one.